Today's video is going to be on the iconic Remington 870 pump action shotgun. This particular one is chambered in 12 gauge. First thing we're going to want to do is open up our action, take a look in there. You can see the orange follower down there. You can see the chamber. Manually inspect it, check it with your finger. This firearm is unloaded and safe to work on. Now today we're going to be taking it apart. As you see, it's in its stock configuration. However, when we put it back together, I'm going to be installing a longer spring and a magazine tube extension. Currently it can hold 4+1. I found with this particular extension I'm able to get 7+1. Okay, that being said, we're going to come down here. We got our magazine cap. I'm going to unscrew it. Now normally when you take this off, nothing comes out. Inside here there is a spring retainer and the magazine spring. Now at the end of the magazine there's two dimples towards the inside that we hold in the spring retainer. But because I've already had my magazine extension on, you have to go inside with a little Dremel and file and kind of grind them down so that when you have the extension on, the extra shells can get past those dimples. So there's our cap. Set that aside. So normally at this point what you'd have to do is stick in a slot screwdriver, give it about a quarter turn, and your spring retainer will come out, and then you can pull your magazine spring out. Now the reason why you need to depress and turn this spring retainer is you can see the groove here doesn't go all the way. So when that comes up the magazine, the two little indents are in both sides, and that holds it from coming out. When you press it in and turn it, you have grooves on either side that go all the way, which allows it to come past those dimples. Once we have that magazine cap off, you can simply pull off your barrel. There's your barrel. See, I got a nice little tack light on the end of mine. So at this point, what I like to do is I like to turn it upside down. And with our 4-stock assembly, you can pull it. It'll only go so far. You need to reach inside here, and there's a little spring on the left side. Depress it. And then the spring on the right side. You can depress it. And then your 4-end stock will come out. Up there. Attached to that is your bolt and your bolt carrier. Now your bolt, you can take this down further if you really want. However, you can access underneath. You got your firing pin's spring, and really, in my experience, I've been able to clean everything I need to from, underneath, front, back, get it all cleaned up. And my theory is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So far, this has functioned well for me over the years. I have not needed to take it down. I'll set that aside. So that leaves us with our magazine tube. Of course, it's into the receiver here. We got our trigger group. Now, to get our trigger group out, you have two trigger plate screws, a rear one and a front one. The rear one is bigger. The front one is a little narrower. So I usually take a piece of wood, put it underneath the firearm. I grab a little punch. I don't know if you can see it there. The pins have a little indent, so you don't have to worry about your punch wiggling around and scratching up the finish on your receiver. Put in the little indent. Hammer that one out. Come to the rear trigger plate pin. Hammer that one out. So here's our two pins. Like I say, the rear one's fatter and the front one is thinner. Set them aside. At this point, you can simply pull your trigger assembly out. Comes out all in one piece. Again, if you're really brave and you want, you can take this down farther. I haven't needed to. I've just sprayed it with a little bit of solvent and get in there with my toothbrush, dry up the excess solvent, give a little bit of oil, very small amount on some of the moving pieces, and we're good to go. So that's pretty much it. So we'll go for some reassembly now. We take our receiver with the mag barrel and the stock still attached. I'm going to turn it upside down. We're going to grab our trigger group. We're going to just work it back into the receiver. Now, on the left side of the gun, where there's no extraction port, that's usually where I put in the front trigger plate pin. You see it goes in almost all the way. And I give it a little convincing with the hammer to finish its journey all the way home. However, for my rear pin, for some reason it likes to go on the side that has the ejection port. So just put that in here. See, it goes in most of the way. And we'll convince it to go all the way home. Just like that. Just like that, you have your trigger assembly back in place. Okay, at this point we're going to take our fore-end assembly. We're going to grab our bolt carrier. Now you see these little tabs? They line up with the little grooves in here. Now I like to squeeze it together right about there, or else the carrier wants to fall out on you. Take our bolt, set it on there. Now, I don't know if you can see that hole there. That's where the magazine tube is going to slide into. I'm going to bring it right to there. It only goes so far. Again, now we need to reach up inside and depress the springs to allow it to come all the way back. There we go. Okay, at this point, we can take our barrel, start it into the receiver. Actually, works a little easier if the fore end is out a little bit. So now we're going to take our barrel, start it up into the receiver, bring that little loop over the magazine tube. Now at this point in time, what I like to do is put it onto the floor. First thing I got to do, I forgot. I want to get out the old follower. There it is. See, that's the orange follower we saw earlier. So now I'm going to take my new aluminum follower, drop it in this way. Take my longer magazine spring that came with the kit. Incidentally, that follower I just put in came with the kit too, so that was kind of nice. Now this one sticks out quite a bit. It's quite long, but that's okay. Take our magazine tube extension, put it over there, just kind of compress it down. Just screw it on the same way that our magazine cap used to be. Now you really want to push the barrel down while you're tightening this to make sure it's all seated properly. I'll give it a pretty good grip tight there. All right. So that's kind of what we look like now. We got the extension on there. At this point, all I need to really do is grab this little clamp that came with it. I don't know if you can really tell, but the one side is open a little bit less. This side's a little bit bigger. The bigger end is going to go on the magazine extension. The smaller end is going to go up around the barrel. So just like this, got it on the barrel. Slide it over the magazine extension. And you can put it, really wherever you want. I think it looks good right about there. Now the screw on the side of it has a little hole. So I just use my awl here to tighten that up. Okay, that's nice and snug. So that really serves two functions, really. It just keeps this from backing off, keeps it all nice and snug. And that's it. We have now put back together this super iconic rifle, the Remington 870. Again, this one is chambered in 12 gauge. You can do a little function test. There's a little latch down here. You can hold that in. That'll allow you to just continue to cycle your rifle. If you do have shells in here and you want to get them out, live rounds in the magazine, you can just, like I said, hold in slow latch here. Cycle your weapon until all your shells have extracted. And of course, when it's done, take a look inside and check everything. I don't know if we'll be able to see that new follower in there. Trying to see it down there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my little video on the Remington 870 pump action shotgun. I particularly like this gun. I like to bring it out to Crown Land here in Canada. I'll set up a bunch of 2-liter soda bottles that I froze full of water and line up 8 of them and knock all 8 down as quick as I can with the It's a fun gun. I enjoy it. It doesn't have a whole lot of recoil. There's a nice rubber pad on the back of this particular one. As always, make sure any firearm you plan on working on is check safe, that there's no ammunition in it. Please abide by all provincial, state, and federal laws on storage and transportation of all firearms. And by all means, please ensure that nobody has access to your firearms that should not have access. There's been too many, let's say, accidents is what they call them, with this kind of thing happening. It's unnecessary. If you store your firearms properly and by the law, nobody should be able to get to them that's not allowed to. Peace out. Have a good one. We'll see you at the range.